Hello, I'm Dee Thompson, and this is Kathy Milton. We are co-hosts and producers of Black Chronicle, a weekly public affairs presentation of WTAE television in Pittsburgh. We've compiled a composite look at Black Chronicle material so that you might better visualize the concept. We tell our viewers weekly that Chronicle is presented to express the ideas and ideals of an emerging new dimension in our society, the black community. The secondary objective of this program is to educate the white community. They don't always agree or understand, but hopefully this kind of programming will open new areas of communication among blacks and whites.
The basic format of Chronicle was created during and after several meetings with representatives of this community's black leadership. Those leaders covered a wide range of attitudes, from the most militant to the black establishment. Every program attempts to review the news currently affecting the black community. We don't stop with the headlines. Instead, we present an in-depth look at the story behind the story, with the necessary interpretations of black reporters addressing themselves to black viewers. 1971 brought a year of violence to the family of Ernest T. Williams, Sr. of Pittsburgh's Northview Heights. The first tragedy occurred in June when 19-year-old Ernest Williams, Jr. was slain by police officer Howard Landers in a case of mistaken identity. Bitter demonstrations punctuated those tense days in the street in front of the morgue where the coroner's inquest was held, and throughout the city.
First of all, we know what has happened. Another black man has been murdered. Ernest T. Williams, age 19, was shot down in the case of so-called mistaken identity. That brings the question of what if it was the right man? Should he have been murdered? Should he have been murdered? Like, we understand that the Pittsburgh police has like a long history of accidental murderings of young black people. We understand in this nation as well, 12 young black people have been killed since the beginning of this year. Like, what is happening, obviously, is that there's some kind of vendetta against what is expected to be like the major force for black people, that is the youth of this community, of our communities across the nation.
Adding to the tension were the two funerals. The first interment was delayed until another Williams son arrived home from Vietnam. Racial tempers had barely calmed when a scant 3 months later, a second son, John Williams, was seriously injured by police bullets following a wild chase through the streets of the Upper Hill. The bitter family poured out raw grief before the world.
Oh, I talked to John.
What did he say? What happened?
He said that he was on his way over to my house. He said that these police had been following him. And he said that he got scared and he was trying to get away from them. And he didn't, apparently. But when he got his car stopped so that he couldn't get away, he got out and he was going to run. And from what I understand of him, they didn't give him too much of a chance to run because they were ready for the kill when they got out the car.
Right now, John, just turned 18, is still an outpatient of Mercy Hospital. Doctors say he may still have to return for further surgery. Ironically, 7 charges have been filed against him by the Commonwealth. The 2 officers involved in the shooting, Barry Joyce and Daniel Canine, are still out of service, serving the remainder of their 120-day suspension.
The Midwest Regional Council of Black Policemen met in Pittsburgh in September. During the conference, Lieutenant Arthur Harmon of the Cincinnati Police Force said shootings like the Williams case are becoming too common throughout the country. He would like to see a change in state laws and retraining programs for policemen.
If this situation, for instance, recent shootings here in Pittsburgh, not peculiar only to Pittsburgh, this is one specific case. Throughout the country, you got the same thing, where a police officer shoots, and then the hue and cry of the public that he shouldn't have taken this innocent life. You got police officers who do not know when to shoot, but it's happening throughout the country. California, Michigan, Florida, New York. I don't care whether it's a large police department or a small police department. We operate in a state of doubt as to when to shoot. And certainly you can see this is not right. The state doesn't agree punishment, death punishment in certain crimes, but we do. In one moment's notice, I can take your life on mere suspicion, and this is not right. We have felonies in states where they say you can shoot for a felony. What is a felony? See, would you shoot a little old lady that embezzles $80,000? I don't think so. We're not that inhuman. But consequently, in certain places, if you steal anything approaching being over the line of demarcation, $50, $60, whatever it is in your particular state, you're allowed to shoot that man. This is not right.
We asked Pittsburgh Public Safety Director John Bengler if he plans to hire more black policemen. He said budget problems will limit increasing his force at this time.
I've been sitting up here listening to this conversation, and from the way these gentlemen talk, you know, like you think that being in prison was a real holiday, you know? I mean, like, damn, let's face it, it's no place to be. When you go in that hole, I mean, for a woman, you know, like you can't wash up. You can't even wash your face, let alone any other parts of your body. And you get a nightgown and a lousy pair of socks and you sleep on a filthy mattress. As a matter of fact, I heard somebody say something about some rehabilitation, you know, and I've been going in and out of jails all my life and I've never been rehabilitated, you know. Like, I really don't understand it. When you put juveniles in jail with grown people, when you put mental cases in jail with grown people, when you put sick people in jail when they should be in the hospital, you know, when you put alcoholics in jail when they should be hospitalized, I can't understand it.
Mrs. Vashti Adams is now a social worker among women inmates in Philadelphia.
Some prisons are doing something in areas of rehabilitation. 2 years ago, officials at Western Penitentiary started an education program with Allegheny County Community College. One of the honor students in that program is Dawn Bush, a 32-year-old former drug addict who is completing a 3-year sentence for armed robbery. Bush says both the college program and prison drug program have had a great influence on him.
I was a lost, dejected, depressed individual. I guess I won't even use the term person because I didn't feel like a person. So after I got here, I was laying up on, you know, in this cell in the bunk, and I just began asking myself questions. I got to really straighten up, you know. This is now or never. Like I'm at a point in life now, whereas I was 30 years old at the time, and I got to do it now or never do it. And what made it so bad was that I realized that I did have some ability. I did have some talent. Like when I was in high school, I graduated with honors. You know, I played professional ball. I knew I wasn't a bum. I knew the things that I went through wasn't really me.
Bush found himself in prison. He's a straight-A student majoring in social science. He hopes to get his associate degree this fall, then go to Pitt for his bachelor's and master's. Meanwhile, he's busy working with the prison's Watch Us Fight drug team, which counsels students both on the outside and inside. Don hopes students believe him when he explains how dangerous a drug habit can be.
Kids are hip, you're smart, you're sophisticated, and you will not be denied the truth. So we tell you like it is. Yeah, dope is good. You're going to feel good the first 2 or 3 times you take dope. But see, therein lies the trouble. Because the first time is going to always lead to a second, and a second to a third, and a third to a fourth, and the next thing you know, you're going to be hooked.
The kids' reaction, their response is, I can't even describe it in words. It's been tremendous. It's been gratifying to us to know that we have, are able to have such an effect on the kids.
And Don isn't busy counseling students. He spends a lot of time in his cell studying and thinking about his family.
After I got sentenced, I even talked with my wife, and I told her, I said, listen, baby, I don't know what's going to happen now. Maybe it's best that you forget about the whole thing. I know you've been through so many changes with me already, and there's no sense in me ruining 2 lives. Maybe if you just left me, it might work out better all the way around. But she's a good woman, though, and she said that. We've been through this thing together, and I still have faith in you, confidence in you, and 3 to 10 years isn't forever.
A cracked bone in his elbow ended a promising baseball career and made Don turn to drugs and crime. But since he's been in prison, he's learned that he must prepare himself for society, even a society that may reject an ex-con.
I think they're breaking down the old stereotyped, preconceived images of what a convict really is. They're human too. Blood flows in their veins, and you'd be surprised. A lot of people would be surprised at the talent that you see, on the part of a lot of the inmates inside the institution. As for me personally, I think that I am now more able to deal with life situations as they arise. If I go out tomorrow, if I'm rejected, if I don't find suitable employment right away, or I just have to keep on trying. One thing I have learned is that the alternative really is not this place here. I think I'd go out and shine shoes to try to make a living before I would try to commit another crime to bring me back to the penitentiary.
Mrs. Gary DeVore, formerly Maria Cole and wife of the late singer Nat King Cole, has been defeated in her attempt to get a national radio show in which she would interview well-known black performers. The reason given by the agency auditioning her is that Mrs. DeVore is not the image of the black woman they want to portray. They say she's too intelligent and refined and sounds like a Wellesley College grad, and they add, "You are married to a white man." In reply to that agency, many blacks feel their ingratiating answer, intended to placate their gentle but firm no radio show, is an insult to the black members of the broadcast media today who are articulate, intelligent, and many who just may have graduated from Wellesley or Harvard or Howard. If the agency intends to put any other than such a person just described in the show, then it will not be well received by the black nor the white communities. The day of the non-talking, bumbling, black stereotyped announcer is dead. And if Mrs. DeVore walked away feeling slightly complimented by this answer, many agree with the agency. She was not the woman for the job. We often have live guests on our show to discuss issues. A typical example is Mrs. Fanny Jefferson, an elderly Washington County woman who attended a recent White House conference on aging. During a black conference prior to the White House meeting, she was arrested. Here's her story.
75 old blacks, and I went to the visitor's gate to see the president to give him a resolution concerning the black elderly of the United States. And I was arrested and manhandled at the gate, and they set the trial for the 29th of November, which coincided with the White House Conference on the Aging. But before I could get back to the White House Conference on the Aging, I had letters from the U.S. Justice Department telling me that my case was unprosecutable, that they had dismissed it. But I'm not satisfied with it being dismissed. I want it taken from the book because I'm not a common criminal. I was standing on my own rights to go to the president and present this resolution.
All right. Now, since we've had the conference on the White House Conference on Aging, have you seen the president?
I haven't seen the president. We have an audience coming up at a later date.
Well, what about the conference itself? Do you think that anything was really accomplished there?
I think what was accomplished there was a great number of politicians and expertise and professionals trying to tell what they thought that the elderly people needed. It started out on a grassroots community council where the elderly were able to tell their needs. And it went from there to a county council, and from there to a regional council, and from there to the president's council, and from there to the White House conference. And when it got there, there weren't very many grassroots people. There were other people still telling us what we needed. We know what we need. Our need is universal for people over 65, and we're tired of saying poverty levels. We have no business to be living on poverty levels in this rich country.
As you see, our guests are not limited to the Pittsburgh area. Many times we have people from counties adjoining Pittsburgh that have the same issues as the big cities, but on a smaller scale.
Pittsburgh Condors basketball star John Brisker was arraigned during World Series week on charges stemming from a scuffle at Three Rivers Stadium. Brisker was charged with disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and aggravated assault and battery on a police officer. According to police, Brisker got into a waiting yellow cab and refused to leave when the driver said the cab was already booked. Brisker contends the driver didn't want to take him as a fare because he was black. Ironically, Kathy, I experienced the same trouble trying to get a cab the night after the Brisker incident. I was covering the series and taking film back to our studios for the late evening news. The first two cabs I summoned refused to take me with the excuse they were booked. I demanded the third cab take me to the station. Since taxi cabs are a public utility, I asked the cab company general manager and asked him what is his driver's policy about carrying passengers. He said he was regretful about the incident that happened and he would appreciate a call on any future incidents. I intend to fulfill his wish.
Many national figures come into our city and discuss problems that exist in Pittsburgh and every major urban center with a large black population. We try to have these guests on live. When their schedule is limited, we do an extended interview on film. Some of the topics that we discovered this year were politics, voting registration, union and labor problems, and the economy.
I feel that it's important for every person throughout this land, especially in America, to know that in protecting Angela's rights, they're protecting their own rights, the rights of their families. Not only Angela, but other political prisoners around this country must not be silenced. Their voices must be heard. So I say unto you that Angela's dream of freedom and justice must become a reality. My daughter must be set free.
Thank you very much. I have the faith in you. I know that you are the greatest young generation that we have produced in recent times. And I exhort to you this afternoon that you must use your brain power, young people. You have the brain power, you have the capacity to come on in within this system and shake the system up through the ballot box so that the system will be responsive to the needs of all of the people in the United States of America.
The name of the game is getting to the union by any means necessary. And if a man is qualified to take a test today, he should be made to wait 6 months. This man still can stay in school for the 6 months, but I would feel as though, in which we have done at Operation Dig, we have had about 40-some men take tests, pass, but they are not out of school. They came back to the school to assist the other trainees on how to pass the test. So, the name of the game is getting to the union. And once you get that PhD in your back pocket, that's why I consider a union book a PhD. You're on your own. And so this is, my main goal is get that union book by any means necessary.
You think this is no mean for discontent?
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. As long as that door's still open at that school and those trainees keep coming in there, I'm ahead. All this talk you talk about don't mean anything to me. What means something to me is those trainees out there getting some education, learning how to read drawings, understanding what union they're going to go into, and they're satisfied with what they're getting now. It's also important to me. I live one day at a time, and I jump over one hurdle at a time. And my first hurdle is to finish up this pre-apprenticeship training school, which I'm going to do, okay? And then we'll take the next hurdle.
And there will be jobs.
Listen, there's got to be jobs. This is a building country. That's all we do here is tear down and build and go to war.
The black people haven't changed. We're getting wise. We're pragmatizing our work now. We've kicked open doors. I kicked them open. We've broken down walls. I've broken them down. I've been a part of the movement. But that was done with our strength, our arms, and our feet. Now the black man is using his brain. And what the white man doesn't realize, the black man was born at the center of the universe. Africa is the balancing point of the universe, the balancing point of the earth. And the brain of the black man is the most balanced brain in the world. Either he can use it to destroy like no one else can, or he can use it to build like no one else can. So now we're going to use it to build like no one else can. We're going to use brain power. Those white folks haven't seen nothing. These black folks got a whole lot of brains. I know because I got a few myself.
Sickle cell anemia is a disease that is found in 1 out of 10 black Americans. A prime mover in the test for sickle cell traits in the Pittsburgh area is the Black Athletes Foundation. Pittsburgh Pirates slugger Willie Stargell is the president of that group. During the first 9 months of our show, he appeared on our program 3 times to explain the importance of educating black people about this disease. Here's what he had to say here.
In fact, we have about 400 black athletes that are in the Black Athletes Foundation. And they want to set up chapters or charters in their particular cities because it's a black disease and it's the concern of everyone. So they feel like we can help Pittsburgh at our maximum, and they can help the cities that they're located in to do the same thing as we're doing here. So there are chapters being set up throughout the country.
What about the chapter here in Pittsburgh? Will there be an executive, new executive director named soon?
Yes, we will be naming one within a week or 10 days.
Could you name him now?
Huh? We could, but we're going to... Huh?
Would you?
No, we wouldn't want to reveal it at this time. There's various reasons for not doing it.
Well, finally, you brought 2 pamphlets here with you, and I think they're very vital pamphlets, and they probably can get them from the
Well, what we're going to try and do with these pamphlets here, Kathy, it says on the front here, if you're black, 10 things you need to know about SCA, and that's Sickle Cell Anemia. And we try to make it as simple as possible, so when people pick up a brochure, they don't see a lot of formulas and misguidings of tremendous literature that they have to go through. I know it turns me off. So when we put this together, we thought it would be very simple, and on the inside it tells you 10 important things that a person should know about the disease.
Where can they get them?
Well, hopefully we're going to saturate the city with them. And this is just one of the many things that we have in mind of the community. And this is a family plan that the blood bank is working so very closely with. They're going to make the blood available for anyone that has sickle cell anemia. And this is for the volunteers to donate the blood so that it can be replaced. So I think it's a tremendous thing on everyone's part that everyone is trying to play a role in this.
We also had the oldest living sickle cell patient in the country on our show. He explained how he needs blood transfusions every month to stay alive. Another mother who has a teenage son that is going to die before he is 20 years old told us here on Black Chronicle she would have never married had she known that both she and her husband had sickle cell traits.
We have proven examples of instant reaction to Black Chronicle. Last July, an ex-convict, Walter William Boyd, appeared on the show and told of being denied a job, certification to hold a job as a security guard because of his previous jail record. Public reaction was positive and immediate, and 2 days later we were able to visit Walter on the job. He works here at Stanton Heights Shopping Center in Pittsburgh's East End. Joe Parco, a businessman in the center and president of the Merchants Association, was one of Walter's staunch supporters, and he wished him luck. There are others who extended a helping hand to Walter. A fellow security officer, hearing of his plight, loaned a gun holster and a cartridge belt. Mini Code, working with a local church, gave funds to help him purchase shoes, uniforms, and his nightstick. And it's stories like this, with a happy ending, and like Mrs. Vashti Adams and the Williams family, which talk about life in the raw, that we present here on Black Chronicle, the facts behind the headlines, enabling the blacks, the whites, to see and hear and evaluate our present society, each in his own way, and come up with a better understanding of his brother.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation and it measures up to your standards of good broadcasting. Good evening, Kathy.
So long, and